Hello, hello. Welcome to Mending Threats. This is your safe place and your stronghold for whole body wellness. This is a mind, body, spirit transformation series, and it's entitled today, Food and You. So we have with us, we're going to talk about many things, but why are we speaking about food? We know that we are what we eat. We've been talking about that, but we know that also that during the pandemic, that we've even looked at the exacerbation of our health problems around food insecurity behaviors. And then we will also today want to look at the effect of food, the food has on our wellness and what can we do about it today. So, one of the things is that adolescents and young people, we want to take time and let them take leadership. So, we know that 13% of the people, young persons, tend to even have depressive episodes because of relationship to uh, food behaviors that did not bring food density to the body. And we also know that it has increased during the COVID from 13%, and I think it says something here to 27% on an average. And it's different for different areas. So today we have with us our young chef who was received experience with Dr. Floyd Atkins and also our chef Shirley Kelly of Solstice Cuisine and Dr. Floyd Atkins of Center for Wellness and Healing. I'm going to bring on now and welcome to our young chef, Mr. Vincent Harris. Good morning. Well, it's morning. We're here in the morning, but it will be aired in the evening, Mr. Harris. Welcome to Mending Threads. How are you this morning?
How are you? Good. I'm doing
I'm
good.
doing very good. I'm doing very good. I'm glad to see you here this morning, and I can't wait to see what you have. Tell us a little bit about you and your school or what you're doing and how you got to be in the chef business there.
Hi, my name is Vincent Harris. I'm in the seventh grade, and I am attending Barry Miller Junior High. And the first thing that got me into cooking and that I ever made, was a salad. Really didn't make it, just no. Um, and it tasted pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looked like you were doing good at it. I do remember an occasion that you were kind of even instructing the chef there, like, can we put some more of this on there and some of that on there? But I also heard a little something that maybe you even influenced your family some, that you might have encouraged them,
Yeah, yeah. See, salad. It's pretty.
trying to get them to eat more salads and fresh foods and things like that. Well, thank you. Well, tell us a little bit about what you were on your way to camp and had to prepare a video for us. So tell us a little bit about what we're going to see.
You're gonna see me. The video had to be cut short a little bit, so we're gonna take off from where I'm taking the eggs out of the pan and putting it in the burrito.
Okay, very good. Okay, then.
Or
Well,
not
let's see what
burrito.
we yes, let's see what you've come up with, and then we're going to discuss that and our health, and maybe where we can go from here with our food preps. Okay, then. Safety. Oh, look at safety measures. Mhm.
Now to the refrigerator to grab the cheese. It's an option to put cheese on it. You can put cheese on it if you want it or not. Since we don't have time to make bacon, you can just make bacon. If you make bacon, put bacon bits on it, do whatever you want with it. Okay, so now, okay, Okay, put the cheese on it. Put as much cheese as you want. It's your burrito, not mine. Okay, oops. Don't leave that open. Okay, now over here. Cheese goes back in the fridge. Okay. I'm gonna just close it like that. And your burrito's done. Look at the burrito.
Okay.
Tasty. I'm not gonna eat it.
So is it oh, that looks so good. I wished I even had it this morning with my juice. I would love to have that. So let me ask you, did you what did you do with the did you grill anything first? Looked like something had a little toasty something on there.
Oh, so that was the egg. Oh yeah, that was just in the microwave. The tortilla was just in the microwave.
I see. Okay then. And then can you add anything to it like vegetables or something?
Yeah, my sisters, we once like cut up peppers and put them on like a fryer, I guess, or and like we put it on the burrito and stuff. It was actually pretty good. Cut up potatoes and put it in there.
Yes, yes. Oh, that sounds so good. Well, this is excellent. And we know that when one of the things that's so inspiring about you preparing this is that some of the what we found out is that when the youth prepare it, it inspires even grandma to change to some of her recipes to make them even healthier. And so now you might can sneak around and get some of grandma's good recipes because I know your grandma can really cook, I believe. And that's right. And so she may have some things that you can decide what you could do to add to your recipes, and I can't wait to find out. So, are there anything else? Where are we going to go from here? What do you think you're going to prepare next?
Mm, let me think about that. Probably a smoothie.
Okay, very good. Okay, then. Well, I know some people like Dr. Atkins will be so excited because he pushes those smoothies for helping our bodies and everything. So
Mm.
maybe we could bring Dr. Atkins on and he can respond to your burrito and what we can and how that helps to heal the body and especially getting ready for our smoothies.
Mm.
So we're going to welcome Dr. Atkins from the Center for Wellness and Healing. Thank you for being here today.
So happy to be here with you this morning. How are you doing today? Great
That's
job,
great.
Vincent.
Thank
It
you.
wasn't that great. That was his first thing, and he has listened to sessions from Chef Shirley Kelly from Solstice Cuisine, and also from you from the Center for Wellness Healing on Saturdays. So I think that he got interested in it, and I think he's going to be a great chef here. And look,
Yes,
Dr. Atkins, he has a chef cap that we're looking for, and he has an apron, a chef apron.
essentials. Those essentials for
Those are essentials.
you
That's
have to
right.
look the part to be the part.
That's right. So can we talk a little bit? Oh, my cat! Oh, my cat wanted to get in. Just a minute. So can we talk a little bit about the healing parts of this? Now, one of the things is that we have youth on because they were talking about youth becoming involved in the
Yeah.
preparation of their food and how it heals the body
Hmm.
toward inflammation, and that even that there were different kinds of things, and we'll talk about different kind of eating, and I'll share that myself. But I wanted you to, if you could help Vincent, help us look at how his dish can even help more, and how does the dish help us in our body.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, I would like to say congratulations, Vincent, again, because if we
Yeah.
get more youth involved in food
Yes.
preparation, it'll
Mhm.
make a big difference. What
Yes.
we've seen in our medical practice and in general, when I do nutritional wellness consultations or whether I do presentations to groups, that most of the food preparation is done by adults who may not be aware of what's in the food and and how to prepare and what they prepare. But once we get kids involved, then it changes the dynamic. I always tell the story about I worked with a group of kids, and we did teach them how to make smoothies and how to know the difference between things that were more processed or toxic than things that were not. And some of the parents came to me and said, Dr. Atkins, you just changed my whole household. My kids won't drink Kool-Aid anymore. They won't drink red sodas anymore. They won't do those things because you said red dye 40 was not good. And I said, that's exactly right. And I said, so that means if they change it, you have to change, because those things are things that contribute to things like inflammation, things contribute to toxic overload. They increase your risk for diabetes, for high blood pressure, for joint pains, and things like that. So, so the fact that he has stepped out to start doing food preparation for himself, you know, is important. Again, I go back to Vincent. The most important decisions we make every day is what we pick up with our hands and what we put into our mouth, the food we eat, because it really determines how we're going to feel, how energetic we're going to be, how well we think, how well we function during the day. So everything you eat has an effect on your body. Foods can affect how you breathe. Foods can affect your strength. So that's why when athletes play sports, they have to have a certain diet if they want to perform at the top levels. So your dish was a great dish. Um, there are some things that what I really recommend that we want to look at long term. And you start off with a great foundation, but it's just some substitutions we can make in there to make it even a better dish. One thing with every meal, I always advocate you want to have at least 50% raw. You need to have some food that are not cooked. So with a egg taco, we want to add a vegetable with it, which is great. The most common vegetable we put in those kind of eggs would be like spinach, or put like kale. So if you chop kale up or chop spinach up and add it to your eggs when you scramble your eggs, or add it with the eggs after you put it in a taco, will be great, especially spinach. And the peppers will be good. Always when you use peppers, whether they're green peppers or red peppers or yellow peppers, we want to make sure we get organic peppers. That means they have a little organic label on them that says that they are grown without pesticides. Most peppers, as a vegetable, is a very high pesticide food. That means when they grow the peppers, they spray it maybe 10 or 20 times with different insect killers and bug killers and weed killers and things like those. And those are the things that cause us to have problems, that cause us to have allergies, that cause us to have autoimmune type problems. So we always want to get organic as much as possible. Even with the eggs, I try to get a what we call a pasture raised or organic egg, because the eggs are healthy based on what the chickens are fed before you get it. So
Yeah.
when you're making food for somebody else, you want to make those choices when you get the eggs.
So
So
I did some reading, Dr. Atkins. That's what I wanted you to respond to. And it says that most young people have low level of zinc, B vitamins, magnesium, vitamin D, and omega-3 fatty acids, those things. So,
yes.
and they were saying that if we wanted to increase concentration and everything, so the things that you mentioned, would is it anything else he would add to that to compensate and to build that area up?
Absolutely. Well, number one, and a lot of foods I'm recommending is things that people traditionally don't eat for breakfast. But I tell people, don't focus on eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Focus on eating 3 meals a day. Meal in the morning, a meal in the evening, and a meal. Meal in the morning, and during the day at lunch, and a meal in the evening. If you do 3 meals a day, but what that does is it gives you different varieties of those nutrients that Dr. Lewis just mentioned of foods we need to have. Now, I added the kale in because the kale is a mineral rich food: magnesium, calcium, potassium, and zinc. Those are all in kale. Peppers
Mhm.
are rich in minerals. They are also. So by adding vegetables to it, you're getting the mineral content you need. Eggs have some eggs have a small amount of omega 3s in it. I tell people to be careful with the eggs because some people have allergies to eggs and don't even realize it. We have some people in our practice who take food sensitivity tests and see, what foods they're sensitive to be able to determine their diet. But a good way to get your omega 3s is with flax seeds, ground flax seeds, or ground hemp seeds. Hemp is one of the richest foods in omega 3s, and that's very important in growing young people because it helps with the development of bones and joints. It helps with skin tissue. It helps with cognitive function, so they think better. They can do better in school when you have high omega 3s. And of course, you mentioned also, Dr. Lewis, that vitamin D is so essential. When we test people for vitamin D levels, especially young adults and older adults, we found that we have very low levels of vitamin D, and that's protective of immunity from autoimmune disorders. It's protective when it comes to any kind of inflammation in your body. Vitamin D is very protective and as an natural antiviral, but it stimulates immunity is the most important thing.
That's a very good idea. And the other thing is that I talked to about 15, I interviewed about 15 young people a couple of weeks ago. I was
Yes,
asking, really trying to find out what did they think about school, what do they think about church, and things like that.
yes,
But that was my purpose for doing that. But one
hmm,
of the things that I found out is they don't really see or know the importance of it. So when they
yes,
start talking about how can I have more muscle and how
yes,
can I look buff and how can I do that, they didn't realize that they grow. That's the biggest part of their bodies, the
yes,
time that they're going to do it. And so when they realize what he just prepared, if they added some of those things and keep the dish that Mr. Benson prepared, that they could really get their body strength and height. If they want to grow taller, be bigger,
yeah,
they could
yes.
really get it going on.
Yes. Well, one of the big myths that the food industry has uh, perpetuated for many, many years is that you go stronger by drinking milk or drinking cow's milk. And so they fortified it with vitamin D to get people to think that if I drink cow's milk, I'm getting my vitamin D. It's helping my bones and my teeth. But there are many, many ways. People don't realize that 1 cup of kale or 1 cup of spinach has much more vitamin D in it than a full 8 ounce glass of milk. You'd have to drink about 4 glasses of milk to get the same vitamin D that you would get in kale. So when you want to get it, you get it that way. And the most significant things about things like the milk or the cow, I call them cow products, with its dairy, is that it is mucus producing. So kids, what we see in kids a lot of times is asthma symptoms. You see kids who have inhalers and they're using inhalers to play sports and they have asthma or they have sinus congestions or they have irritations. But that exacerbated is made much worse by drinking milk. And when we find out when we take milk products, whether it's uh, cottage cheese or whether it's some forms of yogurt and milk out of their diet, those symptoms kind of really go away because they really exacerbate it. And there are other forms of milk, you want to get a plant-based milk if you use a milk, like an almond milk, or you use a rice milk. A coconut milk is very important. Hemp milk gives you the milk flavor to make dishes, but it also gives you those omega 3s that you need. So hemp milk is one of the best milks you can use also. And again, even with the cheeses, they have an almond cheese and they have a rice cheese. Has the same effect. You can put it on there. You can enjoy the cheese flavor, the cheese taste, without those negative effects that go along with it.
Mm-hmm. Also, that would help with my weight loss, I heard
Amen.
too. Mm-hmm.
Amen and hallelujah.
I know that because I'm working on it. So that's really good. So you were going to say something, Mr. Vincent?
I was just asking, not asking, but there's almond cheese.
Yes, yes, there's almond cheese. Now, what you want to do, Vincent, when you go to a store like Kroger's or even Whole Foods or Sprouts, they look in the section, the cheese section, and you'll see an almond cheese. They're made from almonds. I always recommend getting organic almond cheese because, again, almonds is another product that they put a lot of pesticides on it to kill fungus and mold on it. An almond cheese, and there's also a rice cheese. It doesn't and it doesn't melt the same way as the other cheeses though, but it has the same taste. But and when you try it the first time, you may not like it because people are looking for the saltiness of regular cheese. But almond cheese doesn't have the salt, and they put salt in the cheeses that come from cows because they want to make it taste better. But yeah, almond cheese and rice cheese. Now, if you use a cheese from an animal, the only cheese I would recommend using is goat cheese. A lot of people like goat cheese or feta cheese, but goat cheese it's not as mucus producing as a traditional cheese. You can put that on your omelet. But
Mhm.
again, we want to really crank up the vegetables in there more raw than cooked.
Yeah, we
Oh,
just
that's
started. My family just started shopping at Sprouts.
Oh, great. That is fantastic. But tell them to shop in the organic section of Sprouts. They have great prices and you can get almost everything you need there.
Okay.
mhm. Oh, that's good. Okay, then. So one of the things that also I wanted to move with is that the very things that we're talking about, also his dish can help with the stress that like feeling anxious, irritable,
Hmm.
um, impatient. Well, that has a lot to do with what you think about it. But
Yeah.
sometimes we're not talking with youth or talking with each other about
Yes.
how food really affects our energy level and
Yes.
and our mood and whatever like that. So you have always mentioned to decrease the sugary products, like the juice we might drink with that
Yes.
with that dish that Vincent just made,
Yes.
and how would we then change that up? In other words, how will we compensate for the need for the juice? So would
Yeah.
we would make what, fresh juice, or what would we need to do with that so that Mr. Vincent would like it along with his taco?
Uh, well, juice is a traditional thing. Again, it's been promoted by the food industry as a way to as a part of nutrition in the morning. But I always recommend we tell patients that it's better to eat the fruit than drink the fruit juice. So if you want to have something in the morning in advance, and you want to eat usually fruits separate away from prepared foods like that. So eating a banana, eating orange slices, eating strawberries, eating blueberries, and again, I want to get organic as much as possible. You have like a small fruit plate that you can put together. Um, if you do fruits, that's great that way. Now, one thing I want to say about fruits, there are two kinds of fruit. You have your low glycemic fruit and your high glycemic fruits. But the most of the berries is what we like to have for breakfast: the blueberries, the strawberries, the blackberries, and things like that. And then if you have things like melon, whether it's cantaloupe or whether it's a green melon or whether it's watermelon, you always have that separate. You always eat that by itself. Because melons don't digest well with other foods. Melons are more cleansing fruits. Some mornings when you may not have anything, a breakfast you want to just have, you can have melons, you can have the cantaloupe, and you can have watermelon and eat those too. Let that be your initial breakfast in the morning. Eat something a little later, maybe an hour or two later, but it's very cleansing. They have a lot of water in it, so they cleanse your kidneys and things like that. But fruit is a good choice. Now, if you do a juice, um, I would have to say you want to do juice that you juice yourself. You don't want to buy juice from concentrate because they usually make those much sweeter than traditional juices. And then you're increasing your sugar content. If you increase the sugar content, there goes your activity level. People tend to get hyper, you get anxiety, you can't focus, can't concentrate. A lot of the juices, they add preservatives to them. Again, preservatives makes you uh, fidgety. It makes you not able to concentrate. It makes kids a little bit hyper. So when kids go to school and they can't settle down, it's really because of the organic, the pesticides in the juices. They find that they find the chemicals, additives in the juices, the preservatives, and also the sugar content. And, excuse me, and the artificial colors or flavors. There's a
Mhm.
lot of orange juices and a lot of other juices that add coloring to it because they want all the juice to look the same. But if you go in the store and look at orange juice, some orange juices look more orange than other juices. Well, I would get the orange juices less orange because the one that's more orange looking it's probably had some orange dye added to it to make it look so much better. And so they're
Mhm.
not selling the juice just for nutrition; they're selling it also um, for profit to make money. So you have to be careful of those things.
So the other thing that if we could speak of, just in terms of his dish or adding anything, there was some studies for youth saying that actually for youth their brain is wiring while they're eating, and this
Yeah.
is general practice, that their brain is wiring a path that goes along with health problems and health conditions that relate to depression and it's supposed to be something which I'm not into the detail, but it brings on inflammation, and it's caused some kind of oxidation process in the brain
Yes.
that's going on while we're eating. And
Yeah.
so I do know that if young people could really understand that it's not just a do or don't eat something, but that something is actually occurring
Yes.
with what you're eating and
Yes.
changing the. Mhm.
Well, and that's absolutely true because, especially with young people, when you're eating foods for the first time, or say for the first two, and when I say the first time, that means first 2 or 3 years of your life, because you have to think that we develop these patterns over a period of a lifetime. But usually, by the time that we're 6, 7, 8 years old, the brain has taken note of what you're eating, and it's formed itself based on what you give it. Our body can only do as good as the nutrition we give it. So if we give it sugars, like if you're eating donuts or you're eating pastries, I really think giving kids Pop Tarts became a breakfast fundamental, or even doing the toaster waffles in the morning that are sugar coated or honey coated. You train the brain to look for sugar every day. You train the brain to look for those things that overstimulate it, and so you want to use. That's why you want to do something a little different. Even with some starchy foods, it's the same thing. Any starch you eat, once it goes into your body, it converts to sugar, and once it converts to sugar, it's having the same effect. So we want to cut down the starches and the sugars, and you can train your brain to be a little bit different, because retraining is very difficult. That's why, as adults, when people say, I got to have my sweets," well, they don't
Mhm.
realize they formed that early in their life, that they got to have their sweets. I got to have my sugar. I got to have my coffee. I got to have this every day. And that's because your brain has been trained to look for that, and it becomes like an addiction. Food is a very, very powerful addiction. And you
So
can
I'm
talk.
just going to say this in terms of this portion of our show. I'm going to try to summarize, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Vincent, maybe he can chime in and summarize some things. Is what we're saying we haven't spoke about, but maybe we should eat like he's eating breakfast. Maybe we should eat pretty much around the same time of day. Is that something that I guess I'm throwing these out? We definitely know that we're not going to choose these sugar products. We're going to choose less sugary products when we start doing our preparation and our meals. And then you said something about doing more protein.
Yes,
Then we're going to try to include more omega-3 in our the diet.
yes,
And let's see, for fruits, we're going to eat more fruits, and we're going to eat less sugary stuff in our juice. Okay, we're going to
yes,
choose juice, and we're going to
yeah,
try to have fresh juice.
yes.
Mhm.
And Mr. Vincent, what I am going to do is I have some videos on smoothie making and some smoothie recipes, and I'd like you send you the recipes and send you my video, because I want you to take it. I want you to change some of the fruits and add some different fruits to it, and make your own video on how to make a smoothie. It takes about, I think my video is about 4 minutes, which is a little bit long. It doesn't take that long, but it takes about 3 to 4 minutes to make it. And I'm gonna give you like maybe 2 or 3 recipes and let you make it so that people can see exactly how easy it is to make a smoothie.
Yes. Oh, that's going to be great. I can't wait on that. So
Yes.
next month, well, he's also doing. He does the show with you on Saturday as well, and
Okay.
so maybe that'll be the time that we could really get the first glimpse, and then he'll turn around and do it on the Tuesday, the last Tuesday,
Yes.
so that people could see it. Hmm.
And we're going to get on that right away.
Okay, then. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Harris, for being with us, and have a great day. And we can't wait. We're going to show you a video. It's going to be on our website at wrc-houston.com, and it will go out glimpse to the community. She's going to take it during the week, the month, and send it out. Okay, then. Thank
Mhm.
you. It's
So,
been
Yes.
good having
Dr.
you.
Lewis, Mr. Vincent, can you type your email in the chat box here so I can have it? I want to send you that over as soon as possible. I'm sending a link to a YouTube video.
Yes,
Just type your email address in the chat box and I'll have it and send it to me. Thank you so much.
very good. Okay, then. So we're going to, I wanted to ask some other questions about food and you.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to, I know I've gotten some calls about food and the body and what we do. And so we want to kind of talk a little bit about the body and how it's functioning. So there,
Yes.
we talked about adolescence.
Yes.
So, there are different developmental periods in our life.
Yes.
And then when the body stops growing, then we're into adulthood. We also move into late stage. Okay.
Yes.
Um, so one of the things is that I was hoping that you could share something on as we develop that we would pay attention to with our
Okay.
food, that we need to pay more attention to with our foods. And then I see that we have gotten a question in. Uh,
Okay.
mhm,
Well, things we should pay more attention to are number one, when it comes to food, is that we should eat more unprocessed raw food, the food that hadn't been altered in any way. The number one way we alter food is through food preparation, through cooking. And cooking tends to reduce the amount of protein in food because the heat breaks down protein. And when protein is broken down, it's not as available to our bodies, to our cells as we need. It also breaks down the fiber content of food. We don't have the amount of fiber. That's why, you see your doctor say you need to eat more fiber. Well, if you're eating food every day and you're eating raw food every day, you shouldn't have to have more fiber. But when we're eating more processed food, if it comes out of a package, a can, or a box, it's going to be really decreasing the amount of fiber you get. Fiber is important for so many things, but mainly what people have to understand is fiber is not only just important to help with elimination, fiber helps control blood sugar. So people who are pre-diabetic or have diabetes, if they want to reduce their medication, if they increase their fiber, it helps handle sugar much easier when you don't have enough insulin to handle sugar. So fiber is important. Fiber is important just in cleansing your colon, cleansing your digestive system. So the less we cook food, the more fiber we have available in the food. And eating high fiber foods, like eating more beans, eating more um, dense vegetables, eating apples as a fruit source for fiber. There are so many sources of fiber that we get that we need to eat every day rather than eating something that's already been in a package, a can, a box, because they really want to decrease the amount of fiber because it helps the food spoil faster when that fiber is there. And so eating that raw is one of the number one things we need to do. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about why it's important when it comes to inflammation.
mhm. So one of the things is that speaking of raw, both you and Dr. Montgomery encouraged me
Mhm.
because of some heart issues
Yes.
to eat raw. So I was
Yes.
going to share my experience recently.
Okay.
So I've been on this diet thing. Of course, I used to be pretty much like a size 12 until I
Yes.
went through all this stress and deaths and this and this and this and this. So what I wanted to share, the last time we met, I told you that, and I shared with the audience that I was going to do my weight loss thing. Well,
Yes.
during the COVID, I'm going to be honest that I actually gained. I went from 197, okay, to 217.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
just during that little period of time.
Wow.
Okay, so now I have gone down to 213. It may not sound significant, but here's the thing.
Yes.
I discovered that there are different ways in which I was eating. Okay, because
Yes.
of food, there was a reason I was eating,
Yes.
and then secondly, the type of food that I was eating.
Yes.
Okay, and then thirdly, the prioritization of time.
Yes.
Okay, so those three things I wanted to share. So what I discovered was that you can choose, you can make up your mind to recognize that you're going to eat the food that you need for your body and learn the foods that you really like.
Yes.
So one of the things that I learned is I do have a craving for sweets. You talked about earlier on in the years of your development
Yes.
and how you do sweets and whatever and things like that. And
Yes.
I can remember growing up how my grandfather would then use the syrup that he would make at that particular time, and he would give it to us, and he would put this homemade cow butter in there, and he would
Mm-hmm.
give you these biscuits, and they would be hot,
You're
little
making me
crusty biscuits.
hungry.
Oh yeah, just making up. So it was this constant craving for that during emotional periods. You
Yes.
know, all of the losses and whatever. I'm craving and eating and not eating a lot, but eating the wrong foods.
Right.
So what I had to figure out is how to substitute to satisfy the reason why I was eating.
Yes.
So I came up with different foods. Like right now, I'm working on beets,
Yes.
and what I have done is I have just used a slightly different sugar method, and kind of stir fried the beets, the shredded beets.
Yes.
And when you let them sit for a while, lo and behold, they become sort of candied.
Yes.
And you have very little sweets in there. But the thing is that it takes care of that desire for
Yes.
what it is. And seldom do people talk about how to satisfy your desire.
Yes.
They just tell you about. So I'm learning now how to prepare these foods to satisfy certain desires, to take care of certain needs.
Yes.
And the other thing was I wanted to share is that the time prioritization of food I'm doing through raw foods and stir
Yes.
fry. Okay.
Yes.
So because of less time that I want to cook away the nutrients, so what I'm doing is just stir frying. I'm learning seasonings.
Yes.
Okay. And how the season. So I'm going to be sharing that with you. And then the raw food, this was the main thing in eating the raw food. I want to tell you, blew my mind. Now, you know how much I love coffee.
Yes.
I want you to know, look at me drinking water in the morning.
Hallelujah.
Do you know I don't even have the need, or really I went to get my coffee and it didn't taste good anymore.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. And so what it is I think, now I'm gonna let you tell, I'm thinking that since I'm eating almond pate,
Mm-hmm.
I'm eating Brussels sprouts sauteed. I'm eating, my candied beets. I let them sit in candy for a while, and I'm eating stir fried cabbage. I love with
Yes.
onions and whatever and things like that, and um, different things like that.
Yes.
Okay, then, and so I do beans. So I eat a bean almost every day or every other day.
Yes.
Okay, so that's really I'm using that as my meat. And if I have almond pate, I don't have a desire so much for the bean.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where I'm. So I want you so you could share possibly how these things impact the body. But I just wanted to share. I'm not doing massive weight loss right now because I can't move. I'm
Yes.
working on my leg and things like that.
Yes.
But I am so proud of the first change, which I know is a lasting change in
Yes.
attitude, behavior, and habits.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, I congratulate you for number one, taking a step, well, having a realization that number one, I need to make some changes. Most people want
Yes.
things to change, but they never want to commit to making the changes. And
Mhm.
so you may like, eating sweet foods or eating the pancakes and the syrup things. But if you know those are the underlying causes of your problems or your health
Mhm.
conditions, then you have to be willing to make change. So I tell people when they don't do that, I say, so you like the pain, you like the discomfort, you like the indigestion, you like those things because you are choosing those things when you choose your diet.
Mhm.
One thing I heard everything you said, and I was listening. I want to make a suggestion here.
Yes.
The beets are a great choice. It's a good fiber choice. But for our people, I think, especially in the African American community and Hispanic community, have to be a little bit careful because beets is another way to make beet sugar. It has a higher sugar
Oh.
content. So that sugar again is going to contribute to a certain level of inflammation. So that's going to counteract any progress you're trying to make when it comes to walking
Uh
or,
oh.
or, or in that. But the main thing is that by substituting beet, what you have done, you told me you went from 217 to 213. Well, that may
Mhm.
not be a lot, but the main thing is moving in the right direction. It's moving down instead of moving up,
Mhm,
because most people move up and move up and move up, and they don't know how to go down because they won't
mhm.
make those changes. So you're at least going down. Now, as a substitute for the beets, I recommend doing a sweet potato. Sweet potatoes are very high fiber food. You bake
Okay.
it like Mr. Bacon. When you bake it in the oven until it caramelizes, it will taste as sweet as the beet, but it doesn't have the same sugar or glycemic effect on your body. I mean, you could eat a sweet potato, and then we add some coconut oil to it, like to make it. You don't have to add any sugar to it, but you can add coconut oil to it. Add some cinnamon to it.
Mhm,
Cinnamon
mhm,
itself helps reduce your blood sugar level. It lowers glycemic index. It's like anti-diabetic pills is what cinnamon is. So you add cinnamon, you add coconut oil to it, you make a sweet potato, and it becomes your dessert or as a part of your meal, however you want to use it. You don't necessarily even have to take the skin off, because the skin,
mhm,
along with the potato itself, is an excellent fiber source. So try adding that to your diet also. Then number two, beans are excellent. With the beans, we not only make the beans, uh, we can make a bean pate, or make a bean dip, or take your beans and kind of puree them a little bit. You can, and like
mhm.
I guess our chef Vincent did this morning. You make a
Yes.
bean taco, but if
Yeah.
you season it with the seasonings, with the cumin, you can put a little curry in it. You can put your salt, your Himalayan salt and pepper in it. And even add some chopped vegetables like celery, like cilantro,
Mhm.
even cucumber to it, and you're gonna make a delicious taco bean dip. I mean, bean wrap, and it
Yes.
will definitely satisfy your need, because beans will do that. Because
Mhm,
the biggest, I guess, concern or negative I get for people who eat raw is that they say, "Well, I don't ever get full. I'm still hungry after I eat." And
mhm,
and again, it's a variety of foods and what you're eating, and then you're retraining your body also, because we used to eating a lot of
mhm,
meat and heavy things, and we feel we had to feel, oh, I can't eat no more, and that's when I'm
mhm,
full. But you're
mhm,
not eating to be full; you're eating for nutrition.
mhm,
So even if
mhm,
you eat 3 times a day, or even 4 times a day, if they're small dishes, they're light dishes. You can have your fruits in one meal. You can have your bean tacos. Always, salad is always a foundation of a healthy diet. So a big
mhm,
salad, even 2 big salads a day. So then we have to learn how to prepare different types of salads, so salads don't get boring. And making
mhm.
your salad dressings, and as a matter of fact, Dr. Pamela has a couple of salad dressings that she shares with her patients, because they make salads, but they don't know how to make them tasty.
Yes.
And adding avocado to the salads, and
Yes.
adding green apples to the salad. Sometimes that's one fruit that you can add to a salad that's a good a mix.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
called food combining. You can combine that.
mhm,
So I think the things you're doing are excellent. I definitely wanted to people to understand that when they eat, you want to at least eat 50% raw. My goal for me for optimal health is 80% raw. So it means 80% of what I eat
mhm,
during the day is something that hadn't been heated or in the cooking process, but
mhm,
20% of things that they can be, whether it's black
mhm.
rice or red rice or brown rice, or along with beans. You can do a beans and rice. We heard about the beans and rice. The people in New Orleans, or if you go to islands, they have peas and rice. That's
Yes.
an excellent combination to do, and we can make the same thing here and satisfy ourselves. But
Mhm,
people don't think about it. But again, we want to choose. We don't want to choose white rice, very high in starch. That means it's going to raise your blood sugar. It's going to cause you to really be hyper.
mhm.
If you want to get I really advocate getting them black rice or red rice, because they have lower glycemic content, much higher in fiber. So you will feel better after you eat the meals. You'll feel just energetic rather than
So I do know that we have a question here
sure.
from Miss Julie,
Uh huh.
and she has a question. She's going through menopause,
Uh huh.
and she has two things. She wants to know some food suggestions, but pretty much she's concerned about hormones and foods that increase hormones or how it affects hormones,
Uh
and
huh.
also she has changes in her body going through menopause.
Uh huh.
So she wanted you to kind of like respond to food needs, and also if you have like a outgrowth in hair. All of a sudden women have hair.
Yes.
And So I do know that I have referred her to you,
Okay.
and but she just wanted us to speak on it, and here's a question about it. What is it that she could do to make changes in her body? So evidently it's imbalanced.
Yes. Well, she definitely sounds like a prime candidate for Dr. Pamela because she is one of her areas of expertise is doing hormone balancing. And so, and when you see those changes, whether it's hair growth, it can be anything from fatigue, it could be irritability, it could be the signs of what would seem like depression to people or anxiety. All those things are related to hormone imbalance, hormone imbalances. And a lot of times when patients like that go to a doctor, they give them a medication for anxiety, they give them a medication for depression, they give them a medication for several things, but they never treat the underlying problem, which is that hormone imbalance. Now, those can be, there are a lot of foods that trigger, there can be triggers for that. But what
Mm-hmm.
we found is that one of the primary conditions that cause those imbalances are not only just the food itself, but what's in the food. So you have to be very careful about chemicals in the food. The number one chemical we find in food is plastic. It's the chemicals in plastic, and then we see that quite evident in people who microwave their food in plastic. There's a chemical called phthalate. Phthalate is a softener that makes plastic, like in plastic bags or saran wrap. You know, saran wrap is very flexible and light. It's because it's loaded with phthalate. So when you wrap your food in saran wrap or plastic wrap and you microwave it, what happens is those chemicals go right out of the plastic into your food. But those chemicals are, the phthalates are what we call xenoestrogens or false estrogens. So your body sees them as an estrogen. So when people are getting that extra estrogen or getting that extra false estrogen in their diet, it stimulates what we call estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance can cause things like hormonal imbalance. It can cause heavy menstrual cycles in young women. They can cause irritability, anxiety. They can cause fatigue. In men, it can cause prostate enlargement and prostate problems. So those stimulating estrogen can cause those kind of problems. There are other hormones can be suppressed. When she has a hair growth, it lets me know the imbalance that either she has a higher level of testosterone going on because testosterone, muscle mass, those things are stimulated by high testosterone levels. But not only that, sometimes when people have so much estrogen in your body will convert estrogen into testosterone. And once that happens, again, you're back to having those male hormone symptoms, what we call it, the androgen overload. So so what we would do is number one, recommend that she have a hormonal evaluation. There's a simple what we call a saliva test. It's a kit you take. You would collect your saliva in a little tube. You do it in the morning. You do it before lunch. You do it afternoon, and you do it before bedtime. You collect your saliva then 4 different times a day, and when we can test your hormone levels to see where they are. In traditional medicine, they might do a blood test. They might take your blood to check your hormone levels. But what happens is your hormones are fluctuating throughout the day. In the morning, they are high. Some hormones are higher. In the evening, some hormones are lower. At nighttime, they get really quiet, so you go to sleep. So you want to test them at 4 different times. You average them to really find out where your hormone levels are, and that's
Mm-hmm.
what the saliva test does. It actually gives you what when you spit into a tube, and the saliva tells you exactly what's in your body. A blood test tells you what's in your bloodstream, but it doesn't tell you how you're feeling because what's in your tissues tell you how you're feeling. The blood just shows you what's circulating, but once that blood goes into the tissues and take those hormones to the tissues, then you can feel, the things you feel. So you want to take something from the tissue. So the saliva gland is a good tissue source to get those hormones from. And then once we test those hormones, we can see if you're estrogen dominant, we can see what hormones are out of balance. And there are ways to balance them with food. There are some nutritional supplements that we use to balance. Adrenal function is your metabolism, how well you have sugar cravings or starch cravings or weight gain or weight loss. And once you balance those adrenal hormones out, then you'll see that it's easier to lose weight. It's harder to gain weight, that you have more energy during the day, that your metabolism can be cranked up by doing certain supplements or including certain foods in the diet. And I don't give any specific suggestions because if I do that, then people run out and get those foods. But they have to realize that everybody is different. So We have to
Mhm.
adjust it. You have to tweak it just to that person. So once we see what their hormone test gives, then we can do better that way. But again, the simple things like frying foods, frying foods create chemicals in foods that can cause hormone imbalance. Again, microwaving foods and plastics, or even if it says
Mhm.
microwavable Tupperware, it's not a good idea because it still will have plastics. And you mentioned utensils. When you cook or you eat with utensils, it's better to have a wooden spoon. It's better to have a metal spoon than having a plastic. People have plastic spatulas. They have plastic spoons, but all those things that are flexible and plastic, again, they will contaminate your food with those hormones. With those,
Someone is asking a question.
yes,
Um, how if you had to make a choice between uh uh um oh, I see, styrofoam or plastic, how would you go about deciding what to do? Okay, you mentioned something about that.
yes.
What is?
Well, I could tell you my styrofoam story if you would like to. If I can
Yes,
share with
yes,
you.
yes,
Now and I'm saying this because it's not research, but it's the facts. We had a patient years ago. It was a gentleman, and he worked at a company that made styrofoam cups. Styrofoam cups that you buy at the store to put coffee in the morning. Styrofoam is a good insulator when
yes,
it comes to
yes.
heat. But he used to tell us that, and he had some hormonal imbalance problems also. But he was tell us that the company, when they would go to work, would not let them put they were called hot and cold cups, but in their company they only call them cold cups because they would not let them put hot coffee, any hot products in the styrofoam because they said the styrofoam automatically when you put hot things in them, it leaches all of the chemicals that's used to make styrofoams, which are toxic chemicals, into the coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And if they put hot things in the styrofoam cups, they could get fired. So,
Mm-hmm.
so the styrofoam cups are only meant for cold things like a cold drink or cold beverage or iced tea or iced lemonade or something like that, but not for hot coffee things. But the industry ignores that and puts styrofoam. So the answer to the question is for styrofoam and hot things, absolutely not. And for plastics, whether it's hot or warm, absolutely not. You have to go with a glass container or a metal container. You see, some people have coffee cups that's made out of metal. It's a much
Uh-huh.
much safer choice. Or some have the kind of thermos that has a glass lining on the inside of it, so it's your personal cup or
Mm-hmm.
porcelain or ceramic. That would be the way to go.
Very good, very good.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about a lot of things, and so if anybody needed to refer someone to you, how would they go about referring to you?
Well, the number one way is to call the Center for Wellness and Healing. Our website is www.centerforwellnessandhealing.com. Dr. Pamela Atkins is the medical director there. I do a lot of our nutritional counseling, our nutritional coaching. I try to help people with lifestyle changes and really getting them on the path to changing things. So we provide those services. But when it comes to anything as far as prevention, which is what we really focus on, and prevention means that if you have a problem, if you want to prevent a problem, if you have a family history of a problem, if you make changes now, then you can avoid those problems. Even if you do have the problem, prevention means that if you make those changes, you can reverse or decrease or eliminate the problems altogether. It takes commitment, but please feel free to give us a call. Our number is 713-520-9611. That's 713-520-9611. Dr. Pamela Atkins, Dr. Floyd Atkins, Center for Wellness and Healing.
Plus, you can go to wrc-houston.com. Please go on, subscribe, and you will also see the information there for them. And you can also look for Dr. Atkins every fourth Tuesday. Well, it's every first Tuesday evening at 7. Every first Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. at www.houstonpublicaccesstv.com. You'll also see him on YouTube, Women's Resource Center, and also under Center for Wellness and Healing as well. So we look forward to that, and you'll see more of the Young Chef program. And I want to thank everybody for being here. Please sign up for classes. We have our health and wellness classes on Saturdays, the third Saturday. And soon we will pray and hope to have regular health classes that people can come to. And we're working on that right now. And then please go there, sign up as a subscriber, and find out what our Saturday wellness calendar looks like. We'll look forward to seeing you. And I would like to say renew beliefs, rebuild faith, and reconnect families and communities. For it's not the circumstances we meet, it is the manner in which we respond that determines health, happiness, and success. I want to thank Dr. Floyd Atkins for being here this morning, Mr. Vincent Harris for being our Young Chef program under the tutelage of both Dr. Atkins and Chef Shirley Kelly. So we will see you same time, same place, same station.